Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, we're pumped to talk with Mike McAuliff again from
Sir,
YFC, Executive Director there at Youth for Christ. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing well. Like, if this is my third time being on, do I get like a trophy, like a plaque or something, like a participation
You
trophy?
get a
How many
certificate that's
times?
suitable for framing. Yes.
Okay, absolutely. I'll put it somewhere in the office. That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just don't put it on that accent wall that looks like you could have, this room could have come from HGTV, Mike.
Well, this is what I call in quarantine. So I got bored one weekend while we were in quarantine, and I was like, you know what? It's time to redo the office. So there you go. It was fun.
Man, that's just
Yeah.
one boredom. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a long quarantine. It felt like, yeah. The hardest part was actually painting that thing because there's a lot of little, but it was fun. It was good.
Yeah,
Mike,
all
I think
right.
maybe you should do that on the side. I mean, hey, what else you doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be good. I think I'd enjoy it. It'd be fun. I got a patio I'm working on too, so
See,
let's hold
you
off
need
on the
your own
projects.
HGTV show, you know?
On what not to do. Yeah, just hire somebody else. That's the show. Yes, Chip and
The
Joanna
end of every
available.
show, Mike says, hire somebody else to do the job.
I think we have something. I'm pretty sure we do.
Mike McAuliff with us again, Executive Director of Youth for Christ. Wanted to catch up with you, Mike. We always have a great time with you, and we appreciate, of course, what Youth for Christ has done, from the get-go. But you guys, you being a part of that, you touch so many lives, serving the whole school, students, teachers, and parents. As you mentioned, you've been on the show 3 times, and we've talked about schools in, schools out, no masks and masks, and crazy town. So kind of update us on what's going on with you guys. Are you able to go in full force?
Yes. Yeah. We are pretty much back to where we were pre-COVID when it comes to expectations with being on campus, which has been just wonderful to be back on campus and be able to connect our kids. The thing that's been the most difficult, though, as we learn, is we almost lost 2 years with our students. And so often for us, if we're in a middle school campus, our 8th graders are always our largest class because we have 3 years to 6th, 7th, and into 8th grade. Basically our 8th graders don't know who we are. And so it's been just kind of re-engaging and building those relationships. But at the same time, it's been incredible to watch the Lord work as it continues to open doors here in Gwinnett County and Fulton County, even DeKalb County now. And it's just been really neat to watch in the midst of everything.
Mike, for the folks who don't know a lot about Youth for Christ, who weren't able to catch your first couple of episodes,
unacceptable.
With us, it is unacceptable. You need to go back and watch it right now. But tell those folks what Youth for Christ does.
Yeah, Youth for Christ is a national organization, actually international organization. Billy Graham was our first full-time employee, but our goal is about reaching kids disconnected from the gospel on public schools throughout the country, but here in Atlanta as well. So everything that we do is predicated on being on campus on public schools. And so we serve students and we build relationships and connect them to local churches through partnerships with those churches in the areas, with volunteers, as well as serving the entirety of the school because we realize in order to do it well, we need to have a relationship with not only the students, but the gatekeepers into these schools, which are principals, administration, and teachers as well.
Mike, over the years, I mean, it's basically Youth for Christ has the same purpose, same vision, right? Reaching them for Christ. But, as the culture changes, times change, you guys have also been willing to adjust and do things a little bit differently. What's been on the whiteboard, if you will, brainstorming sessions for 2022, since you mentioned that there's been some issues with, hey, there's 8th graders now that you haven't had the opportunity to pour into. So what's the brainstorming sessions been like here lately?
That's a great question. One of the things that we always say within YFC, and Rick, you said it so well, is our slogan is anchored to the rock, geared to the times, and realizing that things are going to change. And so what COVID has really taught us over the last 2 years, and I think I've touched on this before for us now, is how do we begin to make sure that we're going deeper in relationships and not just wide? Yes, we have this vision of reaching 25,000 students across Atlanta. I'm 38. I want to be here for the next 30 years. But at the same time, it's not just 25,000 students that we play dodgeball with. It's 25,000 students. We know their names and we know their stories. And so what we are working on right now is the realization is, even with the staff that we have, is an incredible staff. We were never going to have the bandwidth enough to do it on our own. And so what we have really begun to focus on is connecting with churches in the vicinity of the schools that we serve, and making sure that our leaders are coming from those churches. And so we're spending as much time building relationships with our students in depth in small groups, as well as just the larger group gatherings. And we're spending as much time building relationships with these local youth pastors, lay leaders from churches, which allows us to go deeper and wider in the same time.
Yeah, you talk about going deeper. That is just so incredibly important, because I mean, you look at studies these days, and teenagers especially, but kids don't know the Bible. And they don't. I mean, even if they say, "Yeah, I'm a Christian. I go to church every day." A lot of them. I mean, if you say, "Hey, open up to Philippians," they wouldn't know where that is. And not that you have to have the entire Bible memorized, but they just don't know the Bible. Period.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, just you're correct. And even some of the statistics, and obviously it's up to Jesus and not us. But you see in the Barna statistics, I'm 38 years old, like I said, when I was a kid, it was like 18 years or younger. That's when the decisions for Jesus were made a lot of times at 18 years. And once you get past that into college, that's when it dropped off. Once again, it's up to Jesus. So that doesn't really matter at the same time. Now it's 13 years old. It's 13. Wow. And a lot of that is because of just as the culture, we're still culturally Christian, but at the same time, what's that gap? And that's what we're seeing is we're trying to fill that gap in some areas.
Yeah.
Mike McAuliff with us, Executive Director, YFC, Youth for Christ. AtlantaYFC.org is a great place to go to. You mentioned relationships with different churches around different areas. That's just wisdom, right? And we love the fact, of course, we love the numbers. We want to see as many kids come to Christ as possible. But, from what we're seeing and hearing over the last few years, everything has really been moved back to discipleship, which is so important, and even in the churches that years ago didn't really disciple, it was just an event, have moved back to the I think this is just God saying, okay, this is the way to do it. Now let's get back to it. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, then you talked about the brainstorming and 2022. What else do you have coming up?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the biggest things right now, and just what we're most excited about. And so as we continue to expand and grow, so we always talk about realizing we need our team to be bigger. And one thing that I'm really excited about is that even though a lot of our team is focused here in Gwinnett County, we are Metro Atlanta Youth for Christ. We're not Gwinnett County Youth for Christ. We're not Lawrenceville Youth for Christ. We're Metro Atlanta Youth for Christ. And so it's been really neat to see as we expand into Fulton County that we have now a new staffer. His name's Aaron Miller from Cross Point Community Church in Roswell. And it's amazing for us to have somebody in the backyard living in the community in which we're serving over in Fulton County and Roswell specifically, because, as much as we love our churches here in Gwinnett County, not many families are driving from Roswell to come to my church in Lawrenceville. And so now to have somebody there who lives in that community, who that's his backyard, is going to be a game changer for us as we continue to grow and expand and say yes to the opportunities that God has given us.
So, Mike, what can folks do to help you guys out? I mean, obviously, they can pray that you guys are able to get into the schools and reach more kids. But what else can they do to help you guys out?
You mentioned it, and that's exactly what we're needing right now. So on March 26th, and this is actually, you can find out through our Facebook page as well. So Atlanta YFC, we are really beginning to focus on realize in order for us to grow, in order for us to actually begin to meet these goals that we feel God has called us to, we need to begin to pray to a level that we never have before. I think Corey Ten Boom is the one that says it. Is prayer your spare tire or is it your steering wheel?
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we need to get to a place that this is what's driving us, that prayer is not a part of the ministry, but it is the ministry. So on March 26th, we are actually having our first gathering at my house. So you can come see the office and come see designs, to see the wall. But just around we're going to start building these prayer teams, and we just want people to be involved in that and praying for the ministry. Either it be in person or we will have Zoom, as well as different opportunities. But all that information can be found on our website, as well as our Facebook with the invitation and so on, but atlantaYFC.org. But that's our biggest need right now. We need people praying for this ministry.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Love it. Mike McAuliff, Executive Director of YFC Atlanta, atlantaYFC.org. Pray for them and check out the website. And hey, maybe there's something that you can do. If they have needs that you can help out, hey, help them. Again, atlantaYFC.org. Mike, always a pleasure. You're amazing.
Absolutely.
And we've got some stuff that needs fixed here, a new kitchen and some painting. And so we're going to get you set up.
Look for
hire
my
somebody.
Show on HGTV.
Hire somebody else.
What not to do.
Hey, we got to take a break. We'll talk to you soon, Mike. Thank you so much. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.